Let's take a look at the age and size of every dragon in House of the Dragon. At 181 years old, Vhagar was said to have grown nearly as big as Balerion. Caraxes was half her size and Arrax was 1/5 of her size. Moondancer was around the size of a warhorse, and Vermithor was the second biggest dragon, which places him somewhere between Caraxes and Vhagar. Tessarion was 1/3 the size of Vermithor, and since they were the same age, Vermax may have also been 1/3 the size of Vermithor. Since Vermithor was said to be the size of Tessarion and Seasmoke put together, Seasmoke was around 2/3 the size of Vermithor. These dragons are our framework. From here, we can layer in the rest of the dragons based primarily on their ages, which isn't the only factor to dragon size, but it's the best we got. For the sake of this video, we will assume that dragon eggs were placed in all of the first riders' cradles, as was the Targaryen tradition ever since Rhaena put Vermithor and Silverwing's eggs in Jaehaerys and Alysanne's cradles. And we will also assume that those dragon eggs hatched during the child's first year, unless the text specified otherwise. So at the start of the dance, Moondancer was the youngest. Shrykos and Morgul were 6 years old, and Stormcloud was 9. We don't know how big or small the wild dragon Grey Ghost was, but there's reason to believe that he was smaller than Sunfire, so let's lock Grey Ghost in here for the time being. Tyraxes was 2 years younger than Arrax. Sunfire was 7 years older than Tessarion, and Syrax was 10 years older than Sunfire, and 3 years younger than Seasmoke, assuming that Seasmoke hatched in Laena Velarion's first year. Meleys was up to 20 years older than Seasmoke, but 19 years younger than Caraxes, assuming that Meleys hatched when Rhaenys was born, and Caraxes hatched the year that his first rider, Aemon, was born. Silverwing was born just 2 years after Vermithor, and Silverwing was said to be larger than Seasmoke, so it's safe to assume that Silverwing was huge. And Dreamfire may have been as well. After all, Dreamfire was older than both Silverwing and Vermithor. Granted, Dreamfire was oft locked up in the dragon pit, which may explain why Vermithor was bigger than her. That leaves us with the two biggest wild dragons, Sheepstealer and the Cannibal. Sheepstealer hatched during the early reign of the Old King, a reign that began 81 years before the dance. So Sheepstealer was nearly as old as Silverwing and Vermithor, and she was never locked up in the dragon pit. So there's a good chance that Sheepstealer was huge. And last but not least, the largest of the wild dragons, the Cannibal. Some small folk claim that the Cannibal made his lair on Dragonstone even before the coming of the Targaryens. If so, then the Cannibal was at least 243 years old at the start of the dance. That's more than 30 years older than Balerion ever got to be. But Vhagar was said to be the biggest dragon alive at the time of the dance, and Vermithor was said to be the second biggest. So the big question is, was George R.R. Martin including the wild dragons? If so, then the Cannibal was smaller than Vermithor. But if not, there's a chance that the Cannibal was as big or bigger than Balerion. We will revisit this when we get more data from House of the Dragon, but until next time, I'll catch you on the flip side.